I've always been a very curious person, had a lot of different unique interests, and for the longest time, I tried, diving into all of them at the same time, trying to learn so many different skills at the exact same time. But what I realized is I became a jack of all trades, but I became a master of none. And what I mean by that is I became decent and knowledgeable about a lot of different things, but I wasn't really, super smart or particular about one certain skill. I was just kind of decent at all of them and had like a rough understanding of all of them. And I feel like there's a lot of people nowadays that can relate to this feeling, but I've always felt like there's so many different things that I want to do. I would start one thing, I would start drop shipping, and then I would not see much success, and then I would move on to the next thing. I would start a clothing brand, where I would start a new job, or I would find a new hobby. I would start going to the gym. No, I would get into fishing, I would get into hiking, I would get into food. It just always kept switching and switching and switching, which I guess is good overall in terms of experience, but in terms of setting yourself up for success and really learning and mastering a skill, I didn't master anything. And if you have this similar feeling that you think you have so many different interests, the thing you need to really do is identify which one aligns with your life the most and just commit to that singular one before you move on to the next. Give yourself enough time to really see it through before you just switch it up, and focus on mastering that one skill, that one aspect before moving on, because ultimately it's going to save you time in the long run. If you keep dipping your hands in all these different baskets at the same time, you're not really, taking enough from one. And, I've been like this my whole entire life. I've felt so lost and hopeless because I've questioned and I've asked God. I feel like there's so many different things in this world that I'm interested in that I could be good at. I don't know which path to commit to and which path to really just put my all into, because I'm not sure if that's the right path, because I feel like there's so many. And a big reason I felt like this is because of social media. On social media, you see so many people doing so many different things, and it makes you think you could be just like them, or it convinces you that this is the right path for you. But it ends up being overwhelming, and it's too much. It's too much variety. You need to kind of just single in on a certain subject and really just lock in on that. As well as when you try to do too many things at the same time, you end up feeling like you're not doing enough in one, because you aren't. You end up feeling lazy about yourself, when in reality you're not lazy, you're just lost and a little bit directionless, which is completely normal. But a big way to simplify that is ask yourself, out of all these different things you're trying to learn or thinking about doing, which one of these gives you energy? Which one of these gives you purpose and drive? And if you have that feeling, it's enough to commit to it and just stick to it. Find something that works, find something that makes you happy. It's not going to be perfect, but find something that makes you happy and just dedicate yourself to it. Grind it out and keep going down that path. And eventually you'll be able to build something great. For the longest time, I just thought I was a lazy piece of shit because I wasn't, seeing any success in these things, and I was giving up too early and trying too many different things. But the reality is, in our day and age, with all this social media, this whole grind 24/7 mentality, it's so unrealistic. Realistically, we're not meant to work 24/7 and force ourselves to be disciplined. If you find a path that makes you fulfilled and that gives you purpose, you shouldn't have to be so disciplined the whole entire time, where it shouldn't be so hard to be disciplined. It should be easy to be disciplined. If you're finding yourself having to force yourself to go to work every day, having to force yourself to do these things every single day just for the sake that you think you should be doing it, that's a telltale sign that you're probably not doing the right thing. Laziness is not necessarily a bad thing. Laziness is actually an indicator that you're not doing the right thing in life. If you feel like you're lazy and you're not doing enough, it's probably because you're not doing the right thing. It's an indicator. So if you genuinely, deeply feel like that, and you've been feeling that for a while, you need to switch up the things that you're putting your energy into, because clearly it's not the right thing. And for the longest time, I never really realized that. I kept just forcing until eventually it became too much. I got burnt out, and by the time that I was able to leave that job or stop doing that skill, it was almost too late. So much time had been wasted trying to force something that wasn't meant to be. And that's my biggest tip, guys. If you're feeling like this, don't wait any longer. I'm not saying quit your job right away, have a different job lined up, but stop forcing yourself. Because if you just keep forcing, eventually you're just going to crack and it's going to be too late. You would have wasted so much time. You're going to have lots of regrets. Just really have that self-evaluation and, have confidence in making that switch, and your life will have tremendous results.